Hello, Queens. Are you guys ready to go to Vegas with me? Well, you know what they say, what happens in Vegas, stay in Vegas. But I'm going to share you a story about how you can avoid drama in a relationship, especially if you're dating somebody or getting to know them and you're just learning about their perks. If you don't know who I am, I'm Sindy V King. I'm a creator of Calling In My King. I help transform women to create lasting love through Vedic astrology, neuroscience, and transactional analysis so that she becomes the queen of love. And let's get started and be clear about my story. I feel like when I share my story, it's a learning opportunity for everybody and sometimes for myself too. And I love reflecting things like that, and I love sharing stories. If you didn't know, I went to Vegas this summer and it was a little bit crazy summer anyways. I went to Vegas and I haven't been to Vegas for a very long time. So I made a decision to go to Vegas on a very busy holiday in the United States. And yes, it was a little bit crazy, but it was a lot of fun too. And I learned a little bit more about the person and myself during the trip. So if you didn't know where I'm from right now, I live in California. I live in Los Angeles, and yes, you can see me on Instagram on my real life stories. I kind of share you where fun places to eat and maybe work out and motivations for the day as well. So if you want to check me out, I'll leave my link down below. It's just AskSindyKing. So you can always, peek on what I'm doing. But back to my story. So I went to Vegas. We rented a car. My new man decided we should take a road trip on this US long holiday. And I said, great, let's do it. It will be so much fun. I'm excited for it. So yes, so he shows up in my house, obviously 4 hours late because this is Los Angeles, and yes, the traffic gets crazy if you're not really on top or organized at times in here, and sometimes you just don't make it to the bathroom. That's just the honest truth. So we're driving there at night to Vegas for 4 hours, and we make it there, and it was like around 1 o'clock. So we just went back to the hotel and fell asleep, and then woken up the next day. We were hanging out at the pool before we had another 4-hour ride. Okay, this is another 4-hour ride to all the way to Prescott. So, and where Prescott is in Arizona. So I obviously drove there for 4 hours. Not only that, my poor guy was sick the whole trip. So I was a little concerned, and he was not very sure himself what was going on. But anyways, I think by the time we got to Prescott, we stayed there at a friend's house. It was a lot of fun. We got to see the star. I got to learn a little bit more about astrology, and there was a lot of bonding time, and I didn't see any rattlesnakes, so we're good to go. So going back home, the poor guy was still sick, and I doesn't know what's going on. So I didn't realize this when we were driving, that the altitude of Arizona is a little bit higher than obviously in LA. So there's that factor that happened in there, and I didn't understand what that meant anyways, let alone if there was a time zone difference. So obviously when he, asked me like, hey, do you want me to drive? I said, okay. I wasn't too sure about his driving skills, and I was like, okay, that's fine. You can drive the vehicle. It's a huge SUV, and this guy is really tall. He's like 6'5". Little did I know, his driving ability is not the strongest, I guess, when he's sick. So I didn't know what was going on. He was passing out in and out on the driver's side. So obviously he was so sick, he didn't even know it, that he was dozing off. He was like totally dozing off behind the driving wheel. At one point he was driving off the road, and I have never screamed in my entire life in a vehicle as a passenger because the driving skill was so scary. So obviously I demanded to tell him to stop. I asked him what's wrong, and he's like, there's nothing wrong, I'm okay. This was happening at 9 in the morning. This wasn't happening in the middle of the day. So this is me driving back to California. And yes, the road is flat, there's nothing there, but there's definitely, you gotta watch other cars as well. So I realized that he was sick because the high altitude that happened in Arizona, and I think the pressure, he had all the signs and symptoms. He had headaches, he had migraine, and yes, he had a little bit of the runs too. So that's too much information on YouTube, but I gotta share you my story. So there was a lot of drama in and out because I demanded him to stop the vehicle because his driving was so scary. And I didn't know what was going on, and he didn't know what was going on. So he kept discounting how I felt. I'm like, I don't feel safe when you're driving. I don't feel good. Like, your driving is so scary. He came in front of me. He's like, everything is fine. I'm like, everything is not okay. So it went back and forth like that. And at one point, he really discounted how I felt. And I literally had to walk away because it was not, we're just going back and forth. It's not needed. And so I was in either the victim mode, and I was being in the rescue mode, and then I got into the victim mode. Other positions saying that he's fine, but he's not fine. You know, we were in that drama triangle. So the way to resolve it was, the key was me saying, stop, I'm getting out. So that right there made me a full, not a victim, not a rescuer, and not or the prosecutor position anymore. And I was done. So it was very clear the minute I said stop, I'm getting out, and I left the scene. Obviously, he sat there as being a victim, knowing that what he did, discounting himself, at the end of the day, he discounted himself in order to discount me because the situation was unsafe, because he was acting unsafe. And yes, at the very end, he said if I needed to drive to the airport and I can just get myself there, that's totally up to me. At that point, I made a decision, said I'm driving home all the way back. And that could be either up to 6 hours. Like I said, sometime if you're in a position like that, you need to take charge and say, stop, this needs to stop right now so that I'm gonna make this decision. It has to be that way because that gets you out. Because sometimes when you are in the victim mode, you're obviously you're in the feeling mode, feeling bad, feeling sorry, feeling negative about yourself. And when you are in the prosecutor, you're lecturing, you're like, no, things are fine, you're in the control part. But when you're in the rescuer mode, you're trying to save somebody. That means you're overthinking things and you're not really taking the action per se. I really hope this has made it very clear. Sometime when you are in these modes, sometimes the best thing is say stop, time out, we need to regroup by resetting. That means by walking away sometime or making it a different time or agenda. I'm just sharing you one of my story. Maybe that's something that you had experience with dating somebody and you didn't know what their either driving skills like that. But yeah, but sometimes when things get really dangerous, you need to be okay saying stop. That's your feminine energy saying, no, I don't feel good. And what am I going to do about this situation to make myself feel safe again? My queens, I thank you so much for listening to my story. I hope you learned something a little bit more about the drama triangle and how to get out of it, and it doesn't need to be in this cycle. And you don't need to be a gamey person either.
Look, if you're serious about being fearless in love and ready to be treated like a queen, links is down below to book a time. I got over 100 videos on YouTube and I post new videos every week. So make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell button. You get notified when new videos goes live. If your friend is actually stuck in love, share and like my video. I do take requests on topics and answer your burning question about your relationship. So just leave a comment down below. Otherwise, see you in the next video.